So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Innovators Connect and welcome to today's session on the Intrapreneurs Factory with Nicolas, Marine and Jean-Baptiste. Nicolas is the founder of Orange Startup Studio and a passionate expert of innovation labs exploring new business. And that's, he's so passionate about it that he actually wrote a book about it that we're going to dive into in this session. Before we start, I want to do a quick shout out to our partners for making this virtual summit possible. So thanks to Planbox, IdeaSkill, Board of Innovation, Alpha, Mural, and Chromatic. And I would like all of you on the line to know that there's a chat box and a Q&A box, often in the bottom bar, but sometimes in one of the corners of your screen. Use them to ask a question, post a comment. I will then also feed them to Nicolas for and Marine and Jean-Baptiste for them to address. All right, so without further ado, Nicolas, welcome.
Hello, thank you, Hans, for the introduction. I'm not alone on this session. I'm with Marine Gall from Air France. Hello. And from Jean-Baptiste Richardet, former entrepreneur from Malakoff Mederic and now co-founder of Cameo.
Hi.
So as we are three, we're going to have an interactive session, and we're going to have a question and answer about the Intrapreneurship program at Air France and the entrepreneur experience that Jean-Baptiste had in the Malakoff Mederic program. But before joining this interactive part, there is a short introduction about what is entrepreneurship and how to set up an entrepreneur program in your company. So I have founded 3 years ago the entrepreneur program at Orange. And what is entrepreneurship in our words? It's the way to create new value for the corporation based on an employee initiatives. So it's different from the traditional innovation path. It can be an employee coming from any department, but he has a creative idea and the entrepreneurship program will help him to implement this idea and turn it into a business. This is a trend that has developed in France and in several European countries. And based on the experience, a return of experience of 40 companies, I have written a book which is called The Intrapreneur Factory. It's a practical guide for corporate managers who want to leverage entrepreneurship in their company. So it's really pragmatic, no big science in this book, just a return of experience from several companies and also over 20 stories of entrepreneurs. What is the backbone of the book? It is 10 steps to build your entrepreneur program, your program for entrepreneurs, or to optimize it. The first one is to define why you're starting a program. Is it for business? Is it for collaborator transformation? Is it for another reason? And to align the program with the strategy of your company. The second step is about shaping your value proposition, especially for the entrepreneur. What's in the program for them? And to define a first timing for the program. What will be the main phase for the program? Third step is to find sponsor at the highest level for your program. Fourth step is really the processes from identifying entrepreneurs, selecting them, incubating them, and bringing their idea into business. Step 5 is about coaching entrepreneur and what is their status during the incubation. Step 6 is about business unit commitment to the program. And finally, step 7 is about how to exit at the end of the incubation. How do you exit the entrepreneur? How do you exit the project? And how do you prepare the scale up in terms of business. Then there are three other items which are a little bit less sequential. It's about the cultural impact of an entrepreneur program and as well the societal impact. Step 9 is about how the entrepreneur program interwaves with other innovation program in your corporation, which might exist, like open innovation program or digital factories, that kind of initiative. And step 10 is about the value created by the program, defining the appropriate metrics according to the reason why, the objectives that you have step in step 1. A good piece of advice is to define the objective and the metrics that you want to monitor before starting the program and not in the course of handling the program. In these 3 steps, in these 10 steps, there are 3 which are particularly delicate according to my experience. The step 3 about finding sponsor. You have to find sponsor for your program that have both visibility but are still accessible and that you can see and meet on a regular basis. And maybe it's better to have 2 sponsors than 1 because when one goes away, changes job, you don't become, the program doesn't become orphan. The step 5 is also very important, a very important challenge. It's about coaching the entrepreneur. Sometimes you feel like an entrepreneur because they are so determined and they made a very attractive presentation of their idea. You feel like they are ready to handle the innovation project, but actually they are not born project manager, innovation project manager. So you have to train them and you have to coach them along the way, along the incubation way. And last element is the business unit commitment. You have to build a trustful relationship with the business unit who are interested by the idea developed by the entrepreneur. And as we say in Orange, you don't sell your innovation to a business unit. You try to create the desire of the business unit to change. You try to spot what kind of business opportunity it creates for the business unit. Then the second part of the book is about 20 entrepreneur stories. And this is really an amazing return of experience. It shows very different ways to exit a project. It can be a new business line. It can be an internal service that can save a huge amount of money internally. It can be a cross-unit project that facilitate transversality and or the reuse of underutilized asset. 2 other things struck me in the interviews. All the entrepreneurs speak about the innovation skill set and the leadership skill sets, the desire to take risk. So the transformation in a kind of startup leader that they have experience. And the second item is really the backbone of the project is the way that you capture customer insight in a very rapid and effective manner along the way. Because this is the user problem, the user insight that really help you to succeed in your innovation project, and not the solution or the initial idea that you had upstream when you started the project. So this is the introduction I wanted to make about the book. And now we can go to the conversation with Air France and Malakoff Mederic Cameo. I will start with Marine. So Marine is the VP Innovation and Intrapreneurship Program at Air France. So she has both at innovation and entrepreneurship. I have prepared a few questions for her. But maybe you can say before I ask my question, what is your job at Air France? What brought you to entrepreneurship, Marine?
Hello, thank you to speak with you in this panel. I am in charge of two innovation programs, and one of them is the Intrapreneurship program. So we just launched 2 years ago an entrepreneurship program at Air France for many reasons. Maybe you can ask your question.
This was the first question. What was the reason why you started the program, and what's the purpose of the program?
I think that transparency, simplicity of access to information has transformed the relationship, including at work and at authority. So in large company like us, we must change our leadership postures. And this is complicated and a very sensitive subject. And we observe the energy and the desire of the team to work differently. So we launched this program to test a new way of working with the Intrapreneurship program. So so now we want to, we need a legitimate anchorage to accelerate the transformation, and collective approach is a guarantee of truth and therefore of legitimacy. So it's the reason that with the Intrapreneurship program, we design a new way of working, and the name of this program is Boosted Future program. Yes, it's Boosted Future, and our goal is to offer an ecosystem for teams that have an initiative, want to commit and take responsibility. So the objective of the program is very clear. We want to accelerate the time to market with an innovative approach. So this program is naturally located at the crossroads of transformation and business. And it is certainly, for some people, a new way of working, that's true. So it's interesting to see that the project of the 2018 season and the 2019 season are very varied and affect all the business units of the company, and they are transversal projects. So the first season's teams came from Paris, and this year for the second season the teams came from Geneva, from Nice, from Marseille. So this program illustrates the diversity within Air France. Some projects are relatively simple on a technical level with little barrier to entry, while some others are much more destructive. What counts is the strength and commitment of the project leader to demonstrate with innovative methods that there is a potential value and that further investigation are required at each stage of the programs by obtaining the green light from the jury to access to the next step. And to conclude this overview of our program, 2 projects over 4 from the first season are still ongoing. We have just created a startup with one of the team a few weeks ago. The name of the startup is Smooth.
It's in the book.
Yeah, that's what, maybe.
The story is in the book.
Yes, that's right.
So that's
thank you, Nicolas.
That's a very interesting story. Please.
And very, very exciting and very challenging to be through, because we have a lot of discussion with business units who sign the first commercial contract, and we discuss until the last minute with the team. But we did it, and it's a good starting for this team or for this startup.
Can you explain the activity of Smooth, because it's interesting, it's very linked to the airline business.
Alors, Smooth, we have created Smooth in October. The name of this startup is Smooth, that's right. It's a B2B startup developing a SaaS solution for travel and events industry partners. The team is working around the concept of post-booking optimization to improve their partners' revenue, decrease their distribution costs, and improve their customers' experience. Smooth service identify flexible customers open to taking an other flight and free their seat with an extra bonus and makes the swing easy and smooth. So during the proof of concept, Smooth generated 1 million additional revenue from Air France. So we decide to create a startup at the end of the proof of concept, because there is a nice market for this, and there is still 2 startups in the world who are offer this new service. So it's the reason that we decide to create this startup.
I think that's the problem addressed by the startup, by the entrepreneurship program is very clear. It's when you want to change your seat on the plane at any cost, because you really need to take the plane, and you have to identify people who are flexible to change. And especially in this time of strike in France, this kind of post-booking problem can happen. But what I found also very interesting in the interview is how the entrepreneur explained that to develop their project, they have benefited from a lot of expertise from Air France internally, and also from the access to the data.
Yes, that's right. The entrepreneurship program can be a perfect setup, as you can test your ideas on business hypotheses with the customers of your business, and you can benefit from an incredible knowledge accessible to all the teams, product, legal, social, communication, and finance. So the entrepreneurship program is a very nice ecosystem when you have an attrition to develop your idea and to create a new business. That's right.
One point that we did not discuss is the value proposition for entrepreneur, or in other words, what is the incubation process for them? What are the different stages of the program?
There is 3 steps in our program, and the mindset is learning by doing. So we teach them the innovative method. They learn what is design thinking, what is lean startup, what is pitch, what is business model canvas. So this is innovation method, and they use this new method on their own projects. So it's really learning by doing. They start, they have a launch pad for beginning the maturation period, and then they have a camp when they start the acceleration period. So during the period, they have a coach, a business coach, and they discuss with the coach, and we offer them an ecosystem that they can discuss and share with all the ecosystem of startup. So it's a good opportunity to work with people who are very different from Air France, from the big corp. And it's a very good opportunity to have an open-minded mindset during this period. And then when you go back from your job, things are very different with this open mindset.
How long is the acceleration stage?
The first period is ideation. Yes, it's 5 or 6 weeks. Then they have maturation, it's 3 months. And then they have the acceleration period, the last one, and it's for 4 months.
Okay. So less than 1 year to unearth your startup.
Yes, to do the POC. And after, at the end of the year, you have the last jury, and you can have a go to go to the new period, who is the MVP, minimum viable product. So, but 1 year to do a POC.
You mentioned Smooth as the first example of exit, but I think that you had another example that you wanted to share, or you have
the other one is still in POC. The other team, they are still in POC because the subject was a strategic subject, and they start the POC only after the first season. But now the team is full-time since November, and their sponsor gives them 6 months to do the POC. So they are just beginning the POC with a client.
Okay.
What we are doing with each subject, with each team, it's a personalized answer. So there is no process for the entrepreneurship subjects. We do à la carte.
Okay.
For each team.
I look at the question that we have at the bottom. So there's one question. I would have expected a circle layout rather than a start-finish entrepreneur journey. Of course, innovation is completed in short cycles. We develop something, we test it, we get the feedback from the user, and we iterate or we pivot, like in the Lean Startup methodology. But for the entrepreneur, there is an entry and there is an exit. That's why it's a start-finish journey. With reference, another question is, with reference to step 1 to 7, in which of these steps in your experience should metrics be identified? In step 1, why? In step 3, sponsorship. The metrics I mentioned are related to the value created by the program. And I've sorted out 3 dimensions: the business impact of the program, then the transformation impact of the program, and then the societal impact of the program, because I believe that more and more entrepreneur projects have a link with the societal impact. So all these metrics can be measured during the process, from identification, selection to incubation and acceleration of the project. There is a question for you, Marine. When you mentioned change leadership, what were the specific attributes, values, behaviors you wanted to redefine?
We want to redesign the way of working for people who are able to take, who want to take responsibility. So the first feedback of the 11 entrepreneurs from the first season is very positive. They all feel that they have changed and have transformed. For them, it was an opportunity of a personal development, an accelerator. Being an entrepreneur gives them the feeling of having a diplomatic passport, both internally and externally, something which they appreciate a lot. This point is key. This point is a key point for to accelerate the project. So, and from us, from the company point of view, it is an accelerator of transformation. on creation of new business. The topics addressed by the Booster le Futur, by the team from Booster le Futur, were not in the backlog trades, which are already planned for the next 2 years. So the entrepreneurship program is a good sourcing for ideation for new business in time to market.
Many entrepreneurs mention that what they learn from the program is learn to dare. So learn to take risk and to take responsibility, as you said. And some entrepreneurs mention never take no as an answer. So resilience and determination. And other entrepreneurs mention you don't get what you don't ask. So don't be shy and ask. And
That's
if
right.
it's a no, ask again.
With another way, yes, that's right.
So two last questions, and then we will move to Jean-Baptiste. What was the biggest challenge when executive from Air France worked with startups? I mean, I imagine it's worked with an internal startup, worked with entrepreneurs.
What was, sorry?
What was the biggest challenge when executive from Air France collaborate with entrepreneurs?
I think that the biggest challenge at the beginning was to accept to disrupt the traditional decision-making channels for the entrepreneurship projects. For someone, it was complicated to accept that the entrepreneurs are directly with the jury, and the jury decide directly with the entrepreneurship program. So that was a key point. And so the challenge today is to take care to continue the sanctuary of the entrepreneurship program in our economic context. So this is key.
Last question, what is the most important point that you will have on your radar for you, Marine, as an entrepreneurship manager in 2020?
I think it's nice to offer an ecosystem for intuition from the collaborator, for employees, to trust, to develop the business mindset, and to have a way who never give up. I think it's very important for 2020. And I will say that a collective, I will say collective intelligence is key in a big corp. The intuition of employees can reveal very nice new businesses opportunities, and history has proven it many times.
Thank you very much, Marine. Now we'll go to the other side of the coin with an entrepreneur, a former entrepreneur, Jean-Baptiste. So, entrepreneur from Malakoff Mederic and co-founder of the startup Cameo. So, Jean-Baptiste, please introduce yourself and explain what is the business of Cameo, again, a B2B business, and what was the exit for your project.
All right. To sum up, I was a tech leader at Malakoff Mederic, a big insurance company. For 6 months in 2018, I was in an entrepreneur project around skill management. And as it turned out, we were at the rim of our company business, was insurance, health. So we decided to create a spin-off, a startup, which lead to Cameo. And we keep contact with our intern sponsor when they decided to invest. So Malakoff Mederic has a part of capital from Cameo. And that's a great trust sign from our old sponsor. So, business of Cameo, we are trying to create a new way of training. So, as an employee, you could experience firsthand the life of an executive in a small and innovative startup or company. So again, that's learning by doing, as Marine said. And we would like to create a new way to discover your own competence and skills and gain some more by doing something you couldn't do in your original company. Like, let's get rid of the process of the tools and see what others do. Maybe they're doing things better, or doing things you can't or won't do. And that's something innovative. So you should look outside of your company to see other things. So that was the idea behind Cameo. And that's what we learned from Intrapreneurship, because we had to look away from Malakoff Mederic to see what was the training business, training clients, how to deal with B2B. Again, I was from IT. I was not a mentor, a coach, or a trainer. But by doing such field research, market sizing, and so, we acquire new skills, and that's when we thought that should be a good idea, and that's a place for business. So that was our exit.
Just to come back to the Cameo business, for example, I can be an executive, a manager at Orange working in finance or HR, and you will take me and connect me to a startup or a small company where we'll spend a few weeks or months, and I will share with them my expertise. And then when I come back to Orange, I have to there is another challenge, because I have to apply what I have learned in this small company, in this startup, and conduct some kind of transformation project.
Exactly. Our goal is to create a triple win experience. I mean, you're an executive at Orange. You have a lot of, I'd say, a lot of skills as a management, compliance also. Like in France, we have a lot of startups who do tech very good, or sales very good, but are not very fond of compliance or legal, and so. But big companies have a lot of those resources. So we take those and send them to innovative companies to help them build and grow with a skill and experience. And as a Cameo, you have to help them and learn from them what tool are they using, what process, how are they managing their teams, how are they selling their product. And as a reward, when you come back, you have to implement one thing you learn from this expedition. I mean, maybe you discover Slack, I don't know, and say, oh, that's very good. We should have that at Orange. Let's use Slack, and I'll show you how it was used when I was in the small business, and how we could use it here. Okay. So that's a triple win. Everybody is growing from this experience, and that's the fine point we have to find where everybody wins.
And you have already concrete customers.
Yeah, actually, we have a very good context, legal context here in France, because we have a new training reform who recognize that you can be training on the job. So that's our first good point. And other thing, maybe not so related, but we have a very big union reform, and a lot of our union member will lost their seat in 5 days actually, and those people were a very long time out of their job, working for the union, but still an employee of their company. So now HR teams will have a lot of those people coming back, and they have to take them back, but they don't know how. So with Cameo, we have a big contract with one of the major unions in France to help those people live an experience as entrepreneur in a small business, to show how they build new skills, not on their CV, but they have them. We help them discover them and exploit them, up them, and so they will have a better. That would be a better way to use them in the company, or maybe create new one or move to another company. So a very, very favorable contact here. And last but not least, we help a big tech company, medical tech company, to build an entrepreneurship program. And their thought was we cannot limit entrepreneur people who have their ideas. We have very brilliant person, but they don't have a project ID, but we would like to help them innovate or create something, or maybe just reward them. So they send them to a medical startup, like a healthcare or a tech, and they help the startup grow, develop with their expertise as a medical expert. The average experience time is 20 years of experience. So we're talking about very skilled people, and they help startup to grow. And they have 20 days to help them. And when they come back, they have to implement something, like we said, they learn in startup. So this way, the company is creating a real network between them and the startups, a real ecosystem that will benefit from both sides, and training their employees in the process.
Okay. Actually, in the book, we see several examples of entrepreneurship program which connect with open innovation, and which create a team involving intrapreneur and entrepreneur. This is a way also to provide coaching to the intrapreneur, and this is a way to provide access to the large company, to the entrepreneur, to the startup, external startup.
Yeah, sure.
Coming back to your experience, how did the program help you at Malakoff Mederic?
Well, first thing is we had to create a multi-skill team. In a big company like Malakoff Mederic, everything was very in cases. Like I was in IT, my teammate was in sales, HR, legals, and we never speak together. So the first thing that helped is that for once we had to pick our teammates from different business units. Magically that works, that clicks. And that was a very strong move, not very usual for those kind of companies, but that's the thing that make it work. We speak directly. We had time. We spoke earlier about what time it consumed, but we had 2 days a week dedicated to entrepreneurship. That was a big help because you have to be on 2 jobs on the same time, but that really helped that we had two days per week, not supposed to answer our work email, and we had access to a lot of resources like coaching, training, and most of all, we had direct access to the executive committee of Malakoff Mederic, particularly the sales, the innovation, and the HR director. We became our mentor and our sponsor. As they were like our personas, that was a very good feedback from them each month when they challenge us to go further or to change direction, to pivot. And that was the biggest help we could wish for.
Yeah, you had your first customers or your first users very close to your desk because they belong to the company. That's interesting.
Yeah, and that's what a really frank partnership. I mean, we didn't hide anything from both sides, so it was really valuable that we could speak openly with our first clients.
Okay, why do you think the business of Cameo could not have been developed into the traditional innovation or new project process?
First, as I said before, we were not a health or insurance project. So that was risky. And risk is not very, it's a bit frowned upon. We want to make things that will work for sure. And we want it to be reviewed times and times again for 6 months with a lot of a coach, or a lot of architects, and so on. And it takes months and months and sometimes years. And we didn't have time for that. As I said, the legal environment was changing. I mean, the law was written in January 2019. So we have to act fast, and we have to act like we had to dare. We weren't from this kind of market, but we have to try, and we tried, and we failed, and we tried again. At one time, it worked, and that's not the kind of small iterating project that could have been in a big old-fashioned company who worked in bigger time slot. We were talking in months, we were talking in days. That's not how it worked, and we lost a lot of people at Malakoff because they were like, I spoke to you last week, and this is another story you're telling me. How many times did you change your ID? 5 times. 5 times, but you're not consistent. You're not consistent. How can we make sure you're right this time? We're not. and that's the thing. That's the game. But that's very confusing if you never experienced something like that before.
I understand, especially in insurance business where you rely on legacy IT. So when you implement something, it's for years. So it has to be definitive. Many entrepreneurs mention that risk-taking project when they join the innovation, the traditional innovation portfolio of the company, they get deprioritized, so with lower priority in front of more traditional project where the value generated is secured because it's just an evolution of an existing business. So what learning would you like to share with a future entrepreneur?
Well, first, dare. Don't despair. You have to fail to try something, and if it fails, it's good. I mean, you tried, and that's not the right way. So try again. Try another thing. And maybe one thing we should say is it's all about politics. You have to find the right person, like you said in your entrepreneurship travel. You have to find the right person, speak to them, pitch to them frequently, because the idea evolves very fast, and make them ambassador of your project. I mean, he have to convince his team, his director, his business unit, and that's how you could grow and get resources you need from your project. If people talk about you and your project and how it would change the company or be a great business or whatsoever. And mostly take care of yourself. I mean, I was in a lot of entrepreneur clubs and meetings. I saw a lot of them just went into burnout because they were too involved, never resting, and that drove them mad. But you have to preserve yourself. It's a very, very long run. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And you have to, and trying and failing is kind of easy to say, but it takes its toll on a mental level. So just be sure to celebrate when you're right, when it's work, and like celebrate once you're wrong too. You have to keep a good team spirit. Your spirit has to be very up, and just sometimes take a nap or do sports, whatever works for you. But just don't burn yourself, because if you burn out, your project and your idea dies with you. So sometimes it's better to take a nap than to abandon all of this.
One entrepreneur compared the experience to a roller coaster experience. Or another one said, once you have gone to the top of the mountain, you think it's okay, but then you realize that there is another mountain to climb, and it goes like this for months. So you mentioned a marathon. Does it help to be two people on the project, not to be one single entrepreneur, one solitary entrepreneur, but two people co-leading the project? Does it help?
Actually, I suppose so. We were four, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have succeeded alone. First, I wouldn't have the skills needed to work out. But I'm pretty sure I would have need someone to just listen to me complain when I was down, or challenge me when I was up. I'm positive it helped a lot that we were a team to share deception up and down. You have to celebrate both and acknowledge both. So yes, I wouldn't recommend to start this journey alone.
What I noticed in the entrepreneur team is that when they are two from the start, they are already very open to update the solution according to the problem of the customers that they discover. While when there is one single entrepreneur, sometimes he falls into the trap of falling in love with his solution and not with the user problem, as Ash Moria said. And
very I can relate to that.
Because once he's fallen in love, he's really in love. So it's really difficult to transform it.
Yeah, another advice is that if you're multiple people, don't take people too close to you or same mindset as you. The two leaders of the team, Jeremy and I, were from sales and IT, like old enemies, and with a completely different view of our work, of our project, of the idea, and perpetually confronting them. create this idea, which is in a Cameo. But it wouldn't have been as good as this if we were like two IT guys. We would have done an IT solution for IT guys that wouldn't have worked. But with this counterpoint and other side of the problem, it was really a really good thing to try, test it, negotiate sometimes, and that's what makes a great project. And this idea was not his or mine; it was ours. And maybe that puts a bit of distance between you and the idea, and you don't fall in love with it. You just accept it, and you know at the time that it's not the perfect one. Other will be better, but you try, and when you're in this mindset. You know you want to make it evolve, you want to try new solution, and you want to fix some things, and that's the right mindset to upgrade your ideas into a beautiful project.
Thank you, Jean-Baptiste. I have one question for Marine. What is the setup for coaching teams? How many resources from Air France are used, or do you use external partners like incubators? Are teams being coached on the day-to-day or more loosely once a week?
Like I say, this program is naturally located at the crossroad of transformation and business. And certainly for some people, it's a new way of working, that's sure. We use external resources for coaching the entrepreneurship program on the entrepreneurship teams. And we have a partnership with the Paris Welcome City Lab with an incubator. So we offer to the entrepreneurship programs an ecosystem with an open innovation ecosystem to work on to address their project. So I think it's very important to develop the business mindset to work with external partners for this program.
And it's a coaching based on daily basis or weekly basis?
Each team decide what they need for that project, and they ask at the end of the period of the maturation of ideation. Usually they ask for 1 day per week, and every 2 weeks each team have a coaching for an half day. So it's a good coaching for them, a generous coaching.
So last question, but I'm not sure we can answer it. How do you corporate entrepreneur assimilate the lean startup, lean entrepreneurship and design thinking methodologies after 20 years of experience with corporate structure, politics and bureaucracy?
It's a good question, but this program, once again, it's at the crossroad of transformation and business, to develop new business. So Air France launched a lot of innovation programs since 2 years. We opened a digital factory. We have the Intrapreneurship program. We have another partnership with The Camp in Aix-en-Provence, and we develop new businesses with other big corps. So we just start a very nice energy to transformate the big corp, and we know that every big corp have to accelerate the time to market. And the Intrapreneurship program, it's a good driver for people who are able or want to take some new responsibilities. So it's a new way of working. That's right.
Yeah, just to add something, I think you have to get help to change your way of thinking. So if you want to incorporate a lean in your development, as from my experience, we have to be coached. coach. We have an external coach who train us to the lean methodology. Because you have to unlearn all that you learn in your big corporation, to just back to the basics, to iterate fast, and you need help to realize that you're not doing that at the moment, and how you could achieve this kind of work mindset.
Yes, I think that many entrepreneurs feel at ease with the freedom that is given by the intrapreneurship program compared to the daily work at the corporation.
I'm not sure a lot of are very glad to come back at the old routine.
A few can be lost by the autonomy that is granted. But I join you, Jean-Baptiste, for many of them, it's not easy to focus on the customer and on the iteration part in short cycles that is included in Lean Startup, to design MVP and to take into account the user feedback to improve the MVP in the next cycle. Hans?
Yeah, I may have a good question for all three of you. And Nicolas, I would like you to answer last. So Jean-Baptiste, Marine, maybe Marine, you go first. So the question has been asked on the chat box. And I'm going to slightly edit it just to get hopefully the best possible black and white type of answer. So if you need to choose, so you cannot say both. What value does the intrapreneurship program give you more? Is it ROI in terms of return on investment products and services, right? New business, or is it culture? Marine.
I don't know. Jean-Baptiste first.
All right, I'll try that. But I'm a bit biased because I was a participant and not an organizer. So I'll say culture, because that's a very good way to show your employee and your whole business unit or a company that you want to promote innovation from anyone. I mean, not only the innovation business unit, but anyone can create something or help the organization change. And so that's a big culture shift for me. At least if you try, even if you don't succeed, you tried, you learn something, and that's a plus for the company. So the ROI is implied.
Yeah. Thank you. Marine,
I will set mindset on culture, just to finish.
Okay.
I share this view. In terms of business, we have a good transformation rate of the entrepreneur project, but a successful entrepreneur project generates, let's say, 5 million in 2 or 3 years' time for a business unit, which make between 1 to 2 billion. So it's very, very small, and it's natural. But what is important is that this entrepreneur project really reconnect us to our customers because of the lean startup, because of the design thinking. And I believe that large companies go out of business because they lose the contact with the users, with the customers.
Amen to that. Nicolas, how can we get to know, well, actually, how can we read your book or know more about all the work you've done in this space?
It's on all Amazon stores. So US, UK, Germany, France, you write down Nicolas Brie or the Intrapreneur Factory, and you will find the book in ebook or in paper book.